To this now, the organisation Father Nation, in partnership with the South African Police Service Forum, Men for Change, have marched to the Kraaifontein SAPS to hand over a memorandum. Now, those in demand for justice for victims of gender-based violence. In the last 2 weeks, a 21-year-old woman, Zinhle Kabanisa, was raped and murdered, and a 17-year-old youth appeared in court for allegedly assaulting his 82-year-old grandmother. No arrests have since been made in the murder of the young woman, and demands include, among others, no bail for these perpetrators. Our reporter Mariska Botha attended that gathering.
We are standing at the Kraaifontein SAPS this morning after what was, it's very solemn. There was a march held and we waiting for the delivery of a memorandum. This following some horrible incidents that took place in the area in the last few weeks. One of them being a 17-year-old that was arrested after severely attacking his grandmother, who was in her 80s. That young man has appeared in court already. But the person who spearheaded this march this morning to call for an end to gender-based violence and for men to lead the charge of that is Reverend Victor Pike from Father Nation. So let's get right into it and speak to him. Reverend Pike, thank you for your time. What was the purpose of your gathering and your march this morning?
The purpose of our gathering as men is to make sure that we are visible as men and do awareness to the community, to call out men to say, let us all stand up and fight gender-based violence and femicide, as what happened in this area of Kraaifontein, the two incident of a young boy who was assaulting his granny, and later on a young girl was raped and brutally killed by a man. So I thought we need to do something. We need to stand up. We need to show up as men and say there is no excuse for gender-based violence. We need to fight as men and fight gender-based violence and femicide.
On that point, we usually see at these protests only women. Why do you think it's important that men raise their voices?
Men have been hiding. Men, they've been sitting at the back seat and doing nothing. So it's time that men must show up. It's time that men must rise. It's time that men must speak out. It's time that men must make a statement to say, we as men, we are available and we shall fight gender-based violence. We want to protect our communities, our families as men. So men, they've been so quiet and most of the things, men are not there. So I'm encouraging all men, wherever they are, to stand up and fight gender-based violence. Our women have been killed. Their society is not resting because men are tormenting society and abusing. So it's time that men must lead and say there is no excuse for gender-based violence and femicide.
You're also doing this in partnership with the police.
Yes, it's very important. You know, police are the very important stakeholder in our community. So I had to approach them and say, let us do a march as men and partner with police so that it can be more impactful. We can impact more men and show up that we as community, actually, we are not enemies of police, but we are working together with police because we want to achieve something to make sure that we arrest the perpetrators and then we are working together with police to make peace in our communities.
May I ask you to do something? Will you look straight into the camera and give a message to all men out there? What is your message to all men in South Africa?
I want to say to all men in South Africa out there, wherever they are, you are given a God-given gift, which is the masculinity. Unfortunately, we see all men with wounded, broken, toxic, negative masculinity. So I'm saying to all men, it is time, and the time is now, that we all stand up, we all rise and fight gender-based violence. We are supposed to protect, provide, and love our community and our families as men. So it is time for men to do something about gender-based violence. Any other social ills, men must lead and make sure that they are creating a safe space for women and children in this country and their communities. So it's a responsibility of men to make peace. It's a responsibility of men to make sure that our mothers, our sisters are safe in the community.
Thank you very much, Reverend Victor Pike there of Father a Nation, who spearheaded this march this morning, and I can't add anything other than what the Reverend said there, speaking to all men in South Africa, all of society, to create peaceful, stable and safe societies for everyone to live in peace.